Well, welcome back, everyone. I am Missy Heydrich, and we are now joined by the contingent from the University of Cincinnati, here for the first time at Big 12 Media Days and our women's basketball tip-off. So welcome to Kansas City to all of you. I have Katrina Merriweather, first year at Cincinnati as the head coach, her 8th season overall, and for those that don't know it, a Cincinnati alum. She graduated from there in 2001. Senior forward Jillian Hayes, graduate student guard Maya Jackson, and junior guard Braylon Milton join us as well. Welcome, ladies. Coach, I'm going to start with you. Rebuilding a program is a big task. It is not simple whatsoever. Comes with a lot of pressure, especially when you head to your alma mater and a place of which you played. When your phone rang last March, how did you know it was the right time for you to go to Cincinnati?
I think the honest answer is I didn't right away, because we were building where we were and we had started to get some things going. But when you make a decision, a difficult decision, and I know people may not believe it was difficult because it was my alma mater, but the only thing that I can think of that would be worse during my career than not having the opportunity to work at Cincinnati would be to work at Cincinnati and not be successful. So it took time, and it had a lot to do with whether or not my current staff had any interest in going. And it had a ton to do with the core 7 that ended up staying and being the leaders of our team for this year. And those would be the 2 most important factors in making that type of decision.
You talk about that core 7 because recruiting is not just about that high school talent or the portal. You've got to re-recruit the kids that are on that roster. So what was the message when you arrived and in those conversations and then figuring out that they would be the right ones that you could build around?
I think the important thing for us is for them to understand that we are there for them, and that's not cliche, that we don't say it because it's the right thing to say or the best thing to say, but that they allow us the opportunity to show that and prove that to them. To me, it's the single most important thing, because no matter how good my staff is, no matter how good we believe we are as coaches, if the current team is not bought in, and mind you, the mindset that they have are not who they signed up to play for. And so it's really important that they understand that we're invested in them and that we'll do everything we can so that they can have the best student-athlete experience possible.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit X's and O's. How has practice been going for you in these, main core weeks here this fall? And what will Big 12 fans see when they watch Cincinnati women's basketball this year for the first time in their conference lot?
Practice has been going very well. We have the 5 best practices in the beginning that we can recall having together as a staff. And it has so much to do with these young people, these women that you see on the stage and their teammates that show up with an attitude of gratitude. We get an opportunity to practice. We don't have to practice. The leadership that has to be going on in that locker room and back at the apartments where they live are conversations that say, hey, let's show up again tomorrow. And I think that even through some of the adversity when practices may not have been as great as the first 5, they were able to turn around and pick it back up. And so we're seeing some growth, and we're seeing commitment, and we're seeing leadership out of this group. Going into the Big 12, I think that we're going to look a little different come our first game in December versus how we look in November. We are in it for the marathon in the long run. The biggest difference between where we've been and where we are now is that you can make it to postseason even if you lose a couple games. And I think that what we've been living in is every game you lose, you think it can knock you out of contention for postseason. So personally, I'm excited to be able to have growth throughout the season and then be playing our best basketball in March.
All right, I will be a reminder for all of you, if you have a question, please raise your hand and we will bring the microphone to you. We've got one right here. Please state your name and where you're with.
Stephen Johnson, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Coach, I'm not sure if you remember, but I was actually on the Memphis beat when you were down there. How do you just think, what you were able to do down there prepared you to kind of go back home to Cincinnati?
Hey, Stephen. I think that it's going to be a tremendous help, and I shared earlier today, one is just in the travel. When we were in the Horizon League, it was a league where you could bus to almost every opponent. And I didn't really have any experience as a head coach with getting on a plane. And that may sound silly to people, but you have to manage. Do you practice before? Do you practice when you land? Do you have a team that can practice after you get off the plane? So all of these experiences that I was able to navigate the last couple of years absolutely have prepared me to be able to put us in the best position for them to be successful in what we need to do and get better at.
I'm going to ask some questions of our student athletes and these young women that are here with us. The first is going to go to Jillian Hayes, the top scorer for the Bearcats the last 2 seasons. Jillian, change is never easy, but when you met Coach Merriweather first, what resonated with you that Cincinnati was the place that you wanted to stay and be there again this season?
I think the way she wins and the way she carries herself, also the fact that she did used to play at UC and she wore that Cincinnati across her chest, really meant a lot to me, knowing that she's been in the same shoes as me, and just her and her entire staff just really made me want to stay.
That says a lot because it doesn't happen all the time, so I give you credit for that. Maya Jackson, a graduate student guard, 3 years at Seton Hall. Last year played about 33 minutes a game at Cincinnati. You did a little bit of everything for this team, Maya. Score, distribute, log those major minutes. What has been your focus in the off season? New coaching staff, new opportunities, so that you can be even better as you enter this first year in the Big 12?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just to focus on my leadership. That's a huge part of it. And leadership isn't easy. There's some days where you don't feel like you're doing your best at it. Some days you feel like you're doing better at it. So just trying to be consistent with that, help this team out any way that I can, and just support my teammates as they have supported me. Learn from the coaches and coaching staff. I want to be a coach, so just watching them has been awesome as well.
It's one of the best ways that you can learn, right on the job, right? All right, junior guard Braylon Milton, 14 starts a year ago. You led this team in assists in multiple games. Even though you've had the spring, summer months with your new coaching staff, do workouts, individuals, there's really nothing like fall practice when you're headed towards games. So how has practice been from the perspective of a player, the competitiveness, and what do you like about your team right now?
Practice has been really good. I like the energy and the effort that we give every day. I think the main idea that we get is nobody can teach energy or effort. So we try to give that every day, and I think we've been really good at that. I've enjoyed every moment of this coaching staff, their support. They put a lot into us. They pour a lot into us. So I think our main thing also is just making sure we pour the same thing out for them as well, and just go hard every time we can.
You can't teach energy and effort. That is fantastic. We've got a question over here. Let us know who you're with.
Annie Davis, the Austin American Statesman. For any of the players, Braylon may have kind of just touched on it, but can you describe Cincinnati basketball for those of us who are unfamiliar with y'all?
Yeah, I would say Cincinnati women's basketball is just tough, hardworking, resilient, and just really into, being together. I think that's so important, just being one, being a unit. We focus a lot on, picking up our teammates, being there for our teammates, being there for our university, for our organization, for our coaches. And so just the togetherness is something that's really, really, really focused on and that we want everyone in the Big 12 to be able to see as well.
And we've got another question right here in the front.
Neil Meyer with the Front Office News. This question goes to Coach and all of the players as well. Just talk about the excitement you guys have to be here in Kansas City for the program's first ever Big 12 tip-off talk.
Hey Neil, we are excited to be at this level for sure. And I also want to make it clear how much respect we have for where we came from. I mean, there are a lot of great teams and great coaches in that league as well, but there's no arguing top to bottom. The teams that we're going to compete against are going to be some of the best in the country. And we're going to have some challenges, but we are excited for the opportunity to compete. And like they've shared, we're going to work really hard. And that's when you walk away from watching the Bearcats play, you're going to say, man, they play really hard, and also they rebound that ball very well.
Jillian, do you want to answer that question, and then we'll be done with you guys?
Yes, I'd say that we just are really going to get after it. We're really excited. We have a whole nother level of enthusiasm just to bring to the table. Like Trina said, we're extremely grateful for where we came from, and to also just have this opportunity and be here and just to show up and compete and work hard every day.
Well, on behalf of all of us, welcome to the Big 12, welcome to Kansas City. Thank you, Coach, and thank you to ladies. And we will be back momentarily with the contingent from Central Florida.